Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Flight Deck to Simulator live stream today. It's the 4th of May 2022. May the 4th be with you, everyone. 3 minutes past 5 in the evening in the United Kingdom. We're back in Expo 11, back in the excellent ZIBO Mod 737 for a fun little sector for you this evening. Now, today is my last day off. I'm actually going to a full block of flights coming up here. Loads of 4 sectors for the next few days. So I wanted to have one more opportunity to fly the ZIBO mod prior to the PMDG 737 to be released. I've had so many people commenting, oh, PMDG 737 is going to top trump ZIBO mod. Wow, it's going to be amazing. I looked at the aircraft, but I want to show you how good the ZIBO mod is, especially to a lot of the new people that have joined the channel in anticipation for some 737 content. And to show all that today, I've got this lovely short sector organised for you. We are in the United Kingdom, or I should say Wales, in Cardiff, and we're going to be flying to London Gatwick. Really short flight, 40 minutes, and we're sort of simulating an Alpaca Airways 737 that's been in maintenance. It's just had its C check or D check, been on the ground for a month or so, and we're going to position it back empty to London Gatwick, ready for service for a flight later on this evening, which will be from the next crew, let's say. Just to show you also how the aircraft handles differently being empty. It's really well represented in X-Plane 11, sort of showing you how it handles as well with that difference in weight. It's very, very sporty indeed, and having done it recently and then comparing it to the mod, it's been really quite a pleasure to compare. Anyway, let's zoom on in towards the airport. Live weather, live time. It's beautiful right now in Cardiff. 15 degrees. No clouds detected, winds from the west. Very, very nice indeed. Thunderstorms forecast at Gatwick later. I don't think that will be the case, but we're going to be super light. We'll take a little bit of additional fuel for any problems there. Who we got in chat then? Henry Yandel, engage rocket mode, absolutely. Pete Rich, it's criminal offence to fly to Gatwick and not do the Gatwick challenge. Just saying, ooh, tempting. Let's see how much time we have at the end, eh? Adon, hope you're doing well, buddy. John Padfield, Eddie Mambo, Cuthbert Tanker says, damn, True Earth be sexy. Yeah, True Earth does look very nice here. I've got it all for the UK, which is very fortunate. We are in a pre-release version of the ZIBO mod. It should be released immediately after the stream for your enjoyment. Minor bug fixes, but quite a big change to the way the aircraft handles in the flare. ZIBO's done some tweaking to the ground effect. Now, this is an issue primarily in X-Plane 11. It's sort of an exaggerated ground effect. ZIBO's done something to the flight model of this aircraft, which doesn't affect the aircraft, but it does improve its handling during the flare. And we'll talk about how the flare is slightly different when you're very light, how you can delay it slightly as well. And we'll talk about that on the approach. If you haven't done so already, make sure to vote in the poll. You can choose between an RNAV or an ILS approach. I'll be flying in today into Gatwick. Hopefully you'll have some ATC. That's why I'm flying into that airport, because generally it's very busy on the VATSIM network with regards to ATC as well, and I have all the scenery for it as well. Yaroslav, I didn't expect you to stream, not at all. It was done at very short notice for you Airbus fans. I must I spoke to 320 Sim Pilot actually via email very briefly, because I scheduled this stream 2 hours ago, and I went, oh crap, he's actually streaming at the same time. I try not to conflict with other streams, especially the real pilot streams, but this is the only chance I had. I've got an early night tonight, so I do ask that you go support him. My stream footage won't be long, about an hour and a half, and he's taking the BAE 146 out later, so be sure to check out his content. Ed2's here, Aaron Hastings, Tom Maskell, and Nightbot, I hope you're doing well, buddy. Tom Mates, Cats as well. Edo, saw you here right at the start. Anyone I have missed, I apologise. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yes, this is all Orbex True Earth, Orbex scenery as well for Cardiff. Anyway, I've only just spawned into onto the stand. I've not done anything apart from lower the air stairs. Look at this lovely aircraft out of its C-check. No faults. Funny enough, I have taken an aircraft that's been out of a major check. I think it was a C-check from a German airport. What happened was it was a scheduled flight, and then we had to do an aircraft change to do the scheduled flight back with passengers. And I remember getting onto the aircraft and opening the tech log. We did an aircraft change and had about 30 entries. And it took me about 20 minutes to wade through this tech log because there was a discrepancy with the fuel. Basically, what the engineers had done in the last few weeks it had been on the ground, they'd done engine runs, they'd done APU runs, and there was a discrepancy between the amount of fuel that was loaded and with the amount that we were expecting, and we have to dip the tanks when that's done. But thankfully the engineer came on board, shoved a load of fuel receipts in my hand. He said, here's all the fuel receipts for all the engine runs and APU runs. It's like 6-7 fuel receipts. I added them all up, and the fuel check, it was a-okay, so we departed, albeit about 30 minutes late. But well, when an aircraft comes out of a check or a major check. It's very important that you have a thorough inspection of the tech log, make sure everything's been signed off by the engineers, you're all legal to go. So it's absolutely paramount that's done. Eddie, do the engines actually rotate to the wing like that while off? Absolutely, yes. Any flow from the front or the rear of the engine will easily cause them to spin. They're very loose indeed. You have a look at next time you're boarding on a windy day, you'll perhaps notice that the N1 fan blade is spinning. So Captain, have you been following the PMDG 737 for Microsoft 2020? Not at all been on by one. But one, absolutely have. We've been talking about it. All we've been talking about the last few streams, and no doubt we'll squeeze in some conversation about it today. And perhaps, I think it's meant to be out this weekend. It is very likely the next aircraft I stream will be the PMDG 737. Anyway, here we are in the cockpit, completely cold and dark. We're not expecting any passengers today. It's always nice. Sometimes when you don't have to fly passengers, it's something you don't need to worry about, so a lot more relaxed. So, batteries on, GPUs on the bus. Electric hydraulic pumps are coming on. Landing gear lever is down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green lights, and then we check all the aircraft documentation. It goes without saying, yoke cam will be on today for all the critical phases and handling today. I don't know if it's you, but I've just noticed on yoke cam it's a little bit, I don't know, for me blurry. Can you see if my hands are blurry? I don't know if I've changed the FPS or somehow, but let me know in chat if that wasn't smooth for you, and I'll see if I can change anything in my settings. Excellent. We can now check all the aircraft documentation, and working our way up here on the overhead panel. So emergency exit lights are armed. Now, being such a short sector with no passengers or cargo, look how much little fuel we need. We only need 3.6 tons. It's hardly any fuel. I mean, that's sometimes reserves fuel if you're heavy and you have an alternate that's quite far away. But yeah, we only need 3.6 tons and about 1900 kilos to divert to Stansted, which is our alternate. It was slightly blurry, but definitely not a problem. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I noticed just prior to the stream that it was a little blurry. Maybe it's an FPS issue, but we'll look at that later. Yeah, so 3.6. There are thunderstorms forecast at Gatwick, so we'll take an extra ton, which at this gross weight today is about 30 minutes holding. So we'll go for 4.6 tons of fuel. Still not much, but more than sufficient for our sector. 4.6. So payload 0, 4.6. That already takes into account the weight of the pilot and first officer. And we'll call for the fuel truck as well.
Ground flight deck hose is connected and starting refueling.
Excellent. Well, there's no passengers, so I'll put the fasten seatbelt sign on. We still test the attend button. We have flaps up, which matches the flap indicator position. We'll do a quick takeoff config warning check. Warning horn sounds A-OK. I knew I'd forgotten to do something. There we are. Check the squibs. And then also I need to open up the the checklist app as well. Where are you? Fly with lure. Oh yeah, I shouldn't need to do that. Let me just do this. There we are. So yeah, start our audio checklist. So we'll run that in the background. We need to do our checks. Fault, APU detector in op, overheat detector, fire warning test, fire warning lights overheat wheel well, and overheat detector, fire warning bells illuminated too. Harry, the ZIBO will be missed for about at least 2 weeks once the PMDG's out for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, I have some content lined up for sure. We'll thoroughly put it through its paces. Very excited to do that for sure. A lot of people think that the ZIBO mod will be finished, and I want to sort of show you why and how aircraft in this sim, in my opinion, still handle in a lot more of a realistic way to aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Given time, I'm sure it'll improve, but having observed some streams and videos, sort of see how it handles in a similar way to it did in FSX Prepared. But that's just a sim in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The Leonardo MD-80 we flew, amazing airplane, great add-on. I felt it was a little bit static perhaps dynamically, as I demonstrated when I was hand flying, but yeah, we'll see. Right, we've done that. Cargo fire test coming up next. Our fire warning forward aft discharge, fire warning lights illuminated as well. Radio tuning panel is all set, rudder and aileron trim is 3 and 0, gear extension doors closed, circuit breakers are all in on the FO's side. Stall warning test, need to wait 4 minutes for that to work. Mac airspeed warning test, flight recorder's done, IRS to nav, it's going to take us 8 minutes for that alignment. Circuit breakers are all in on the left-hand side. Check the crash axe, tech logs stowed, and the safety
Ground
mode
flight deck,
as well.
fuel is all loaded up and you are good to go.
Excellent, fuel is loaded up, all good to go. Right, I have actually received my clearance from London Centre, of all places. They've also given me Bristol latest, so let's have a little listen to the weather. 126025, and it does sound like it's coming through. Let me just turn it up for you guys so you can hear it. And it looks like we've caught that just in time.
For airport information, Alpha at time 1520, automatic, runway in use 27, transition level flight level 70.
That's Bristol, not Cardiff.
Wind 250.
Okay, well, you'll have to trust me on the METAR here. The METAR then for 27, that'll be Bristol. Cardiff is 27014, 10k, no clouds, 15 degrees, QNH is 1019. So let's set that here, 1019. And MFRA will be 1200 feet. So let's set that here. It wasn't that long ago, I was actually positioning an empty aircraft about 2 weeks ago. Show you how fun it is. Fun it is to fly. What else we got here in chat? May the 4th be with you, thanks, B9.1. Edo will be sticking with ZIBO. Yep, it'll be great. There'll be some great aircraft. The ZIBO mod, it will be amazing forever, and it will be even better with X-Plane 12 comes out with the improved flight dynamics. Harry, do you know all the British Airways call signs and their use? I've absolutely no idea. John Panfield, of course, when X-Plane 12 comes out. Exactly. Yaroslav said, yeah, the stuff people are saying about ZIBO is upsetting. Yeah, I've had comments and emails and stuff, like saying, oh, you're going to finally leave X-Plane 11 now? No. Not at all. Will the ZIBO be as detailed as the PMDG? I think PMDG is going to trump ZIBO with regards to sort of the simulated modelling of all the systems, the failure management. That looks really good, but that's coming straight from their product in Prepared, which was excellent. I've watched several of the streamers fly it, and it looks really good, and it's certainly reacting to external forces like wind and things like that. But I'll show you on takeoff. I'll show you things like, if you extend flaps in this aircraft, you get a noticeable balloon in real aircraft. That is all simulated in the mod. I mean, it might do in the PMDG 737 Microsoft Flight Simulator, but until I get my hands on it, I can't tell you. But from a handling perspective, ZIBO mod, right now, my opinion from what I've seen and what I've experienced, is a far better handling aircraft than what I suspect will be with the Microsoft Flight Simulator PMDG 737. But I think it will probably be better from a systems point of view. And if you're flying 95% of the time with the autopilot, then I should think Microsoft Flight Simulator would be the better sim for you, because I absolutely loved those two streams in the MD-80 we just did. Absolutely loved the sim, and it was awesome flying it. Loved the aircraft. So yeah, it depends what you want to get out of your sim. Listerman, you won't be able to talk about anything else tonight. I fear that, Listerman. And it was a really short, intensive flight as well. Greg Scott, thanks for the 30 months as a member. EV Captain and fellow alpacas, hope you're doing well, buddy. Thank you for your continued support. Nice to see you pop in. Right, so let's try and keep the show on the road. We got the weather. Let's now load up the flight management computer, sort out my lighting. Let me just get rid of the old control column here. That's up into the FMC. So FMC, pos in it. We are in Cardiff. The code of which is, I can't remember off the top of my head, Echo Golf Foxtrot. We'll put down our GPS left coordinates. And we're going to be routing to Gatwick, Echo Golf Kilo, a favourite on Fast Sim. Our call sign today is Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Departing off runway 30, it's a Brecon 1 Alpha SID. We're going to be routing from Brecon to Quebec 6-3 to Kennet, and from Kennet direct to Nigget. And from Nigget, it's the Bedek 1 Golf. Now I think Bedek 1 Golf actually has Nigget prior to that, so I think you might have a double entry of Nigget. So it's ILS 26 left. Bedek 1 Golf, and we're not using those transitions to the hold today. So if you see here, you have Bedek, Nigget. So what I want to do is just check the arrival here, so I think our routing takes us Nigget. We've got Kennet, Nigget. The thing is, it misses Bedeck and there's a restriction there, so technically it's not the full Bedeck. Oh, it's a Bedeck 1 Golf. Did I select Bedeck 1 Golf? Yeah, I did. So we've got Nigget, then Midhurst. So Nigget, then Midhurst. There we are. Now it's quite interesting because this actually takes out the 140 restriction. I'll take a look at that in a second. But Kennet, Nigget, Midhurst, and then 2 Foz. We have 250 knots or below. That's on the arrival. Right, we'll activate that, execute. Gross error check distance-wise. We should be able to see that on the progress page. We'll just have to wait for the alignment in the mod there. Thanks to the great streams, Captain, said Eddie Mambo. Just a quick one. How do you program step climbs on the FMC for long-haul flights as given by SimBrief? Great question there, Eddie Mambo. So the 737 has a step climb feature, but all it does is provide information. It doesn't actually automatically climb at that point. Basically, you put in at what point you want to step climb, and it will calculate based off the most optimal point where's the best place to climb to your higher cruise level. It won't take into account any wind information, so your SimBrief flight plan is the one that you want to follow. So basically, when the SimBrief where it tells you to step up, at that point you simply set the altitude on the MCP, you push out into vent, and then it'll update the VNAV cruise level on the FMC for you, and don't forget to update the overhead panel as well. Great question, Eddie. Thank you very much as well for your continued support. David, Microsoft Flight Simulator is making good progress flight dynamics wise. They released the new flight model for the 172, and the other planes are expected to follow along the third parties. Now, I've heard about this. Yeah, someone said, I commented on it recently. I haven't got back to them, but I think they said that the 172 flew a lot better. So it'll be certainly interesting to see. I certainly know with the Leonardo MD-80, I think their flight model is quite external. A lot of how that aircraft works isn't actually utilising Microsoft Flight Simulator's in-house physics. That's why the SU9 update caused very few problems, or no problems basically, because I was testing it before and after, and there was no difference or change. So I think the PMDG 737, from what I've heard, is still very much based off its original flight model. Whether they're utilising Microsoft Flight Simulator's new one, I can only speculate, but from what I've heard, that might be the case. Eric, how do you move the cameras like that from the pilot view to the overhead switches? It's X-Plane 11's camera system. You can pre-assign views to a numpad, and it's very easy just to switch between the two. That's how I do it there. And I have my Microsoft Flight Simulator set up to show the views in a similar way. Right, so we've got the routing in, we've activated, executed. Let's have a little look at our performance today. So, empty aircraft. Now, zero fuel weight is the weight of the aircraft plus just the 2 pilots up front, 43.2, or 43.1 in this case. So, extremely light. We'll see how the aircraft behaves shortly. Reserves are 1.9 tonnes. Cost index we're using is 30. We're cruising at 23,000 feet today. And that is executed. We'll update that here on the overhead panel, and the elevation of Gatwick I think is around 200 feet. Steep descent after Willow, we'll have a look at that later. Top of climb wind is 327 at 34 knots. Top of climb ISA is... Sorry, top of climb wind is 329 at 55 knots. Top of climb ISA is a -3. That's executed. And the average wind is 327 at 34. So go over here, 327 at 34. There we go. That's executed as well. Now, up to you guys really. If I go full 26k on an empty aircraft, this aircraft will climb like a homesick angel. It will... We have a maximum pitch attitude of 20 degrees. Now, if we were to set 20 degrees, the aircraft will accelerate rapidly still. This will happily climb at 6,000–7,000 feet per minute. Clean at 200 knots if you had full thrust here. So I can guarantee the OPT, I punched it all in, it basically generates the minimum amount of reduced thrust we can possibly take, which is 25% off the max D rate. So it is basically 22k with an assumed temperature of 61, and that gives us 86.9, and you can't reduce the thrust any further. There's a maximum amount you can reduce it is 25%, and that equates to, with the conditions outside, 86.9% N1. Trust me, even with this, it'll have an awful amount of excess performance, that's for sure. Fuel is free in the sim. Send it. Do it. If you want me to do full toga, I'll do full toga just to show you what it's like. It will be absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I'll have to rocket. Rocket. All right, full 26k. Wouldn't be doing that on the line. Trims all the way up at 4.5 units. Ooh, what's happened to my trim here? Fully nose up, and it's not working. Yowzers, yeah, that shouldn't be there. Now why? I've got a problem here. Never doesn't do this on test sectors. Okay, this could be an X-plane thing. Has anyone seen this before? Certainly spinning, but it's not trimming. MCAS, yeah, wrong direction, unfortunately. This will force the nose to go up. Maintenance had an oopsie. Back to the hangar. Right, let me just check to see if this. So no failed systems here. What I'll try and do is unplug and plug in the control wheel again. It could be an issue there. Let me just try this anyway. Fix all systems. I've never seen this before. I had this before. Try and plug in your throttles command A switch. No, it's off there. Let me just unplug and plug it in again. That fixes 99% of all problems. Just make sure that's definitely unplugged. Just didn't get the Windows sound. I plugged it back in again. Nope. Still fully jammed nose up. Something happened to me on parking brake. Unrelated here. Disconnect autopilot and reconnect autopilot. That would actually work on the ground. That worked. Interesting. How bizarre. You can engage the autopilot just like that on the ground, but that's so super strange how it's basically set the trim all the way up there. This takes a bit of time there. And that's why it's so important to do your checks and make sure things are done. If you try to take off with that, it'll be dangerous. Now, you see how I've extended the flaps? The reason is, look, it makes the trim wheel go faster. There you go, so 4.5 units, and now I'll retract the flaps again. There we go, 4.5 units is set, 50, and V-speed's coming 40, in, 119, 119, 128. 20, this is going to climb 10. Absolutely balmy. It's going to be crazy. Your Majesty, thank you.
Full toga on an empty plane? After the hard landing incident, does one still not have any regard for one's dentures? Sigh. I'll get the super glue.
Thanks a lot, Your Majesty. A #1 fan of the Flight Deck to Sim channel has finally come. Great to see you here. Nice chatting the other day as well. Get the super glue for your dentures. This is outrageous. You'll need a bit more than that with 26k on an M2 aircraft. Unbelievable. Thank you very much for your continued support, Your Majesty. And thank you. Yeah, happy birthday for this year. What is it? 60th, 70th? Oh, I don't know. I'm not massively a follower, but best of luck with your celebrations there. Superb. So we have one passenger. No passengers listed in, just myself and Jim today. Right, trim is set for departure. V-speeds are set. V2 128 knots. Superb. Right. Flight spoiler and alternate flap switches are guarded. Yaw damper can come on. Nav transfer display switches are normal auto. Fuel 4 pumps on. We'll still check the crossfeed valve. Bright, dim, bright, and off. ACDC metering panel is set as we need it. We'll turn up the panel lighting. Seatbelt sign is on. Window heat switches can come on. Probe heat's off. Electric hydraulic pumps are also on. Trim air's on. Voice recorder's on. PAX auto. 230-200 for the elevation steady. We'll get the APU started as well. Superb. Right, let's just have a little look at this departure for Cardiff. We're on stand 16, push back to face south west, left on Alpha, and then taxi. We can easily take the Charlie intersection for departure. 26k, do anything there. And the SID is a Brecken 1 Alpha. It's based off 110.7, which will make that active now. So 110.7, we'll put Brecken on standby. 0.7 and 1745 on standby. So climbing straight ahead for DME. We're going to be 2,300 feet or above. That's the echo point. That's 5 miles, that's fine. And then it's a right turn, 15 miles from Brecon. That's Oscar, 3,500 to 6,000. We then have 11 miles from Brecon, 4,500. That's the kilo point. And then 6 miles from Brecon, which is the Foxtrot point. We need to be at 6,000 feet. We're going to get out of Quiet super early today, based on our 26k pressured into thrust rating for departure. So don't climb above 6,000 until instructed by ATC. We will have London providing ATC for us as well. And everything's backed up. We just want, for our initial turn here, 220 knots, just for track keeping so the aircraft doesn't shoot. So at the kilo point, or the Oscar point, I'll put 220 knots or below. Our clean speed today is going to be very low. Our up speed is going to be like 180, 190. Let's just get rid of this willow restriction, because it's going to be moaning all the time. 220 or below. We'll have a look at that later. Perfect, that's executed. Runway QDM is 2907. So 2907, 2907. And the radial we're going to be flying on inbound to Brecon is the 211 radial, so 031 inbound. I'll put 031 here, my side, as backup. Superb. Flight directors, we can pop on 6,000 feet. We have our pre-departure clearance from London Centre, and the squawk is let me just check here. So he said Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf clear to Gatwick, runway 30, Brecon 1 Alpha, squawk 1077. 1077. And call ready for pushback. Don't need to read back the clearance. Perfect. Auto brake to RTO. Reset the fuel flow. Whoa! How come I've got so much fuel in the middle here? 1,300 kilos. I think that might have been something to do with this when I press reset. So let me just change that so we've got no fuel in the centre tank. You can do it this way. It's quicker. There we are. Fuel centre tank. Bloop. Reset weight balance. Oh! Sugar me, I've really screwed this up. Fuel. Oh no. Blast. What was it we asked for? 3746, I think. It was 2,300 each side. There we go, 2,300. Don't press reset weight balance. And just got to make sure the trim's all set. I just want to double check it was that amount of fuel. Yeah, 3646 went for an extra ton, didn't we? There we go. Right, so we're happy with everything. We've briefed the departure, briefed the SID. We'll now do the checklist. Let me just catch up with here in chat. As you all well know, it's extremely busy when I'm always doing setup, so do bear with me. Just want to get the show on the road, as you well know. I'll call for better pushback as well. It's Amy. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for pushing us back today. There we go.
We've got the driving up.
Flight count, it says derated takeoff plus 61 above N1. Will that still give you full 26k? Yeah, it should do. It's probably the climb that's been derated, which at my operator we don't change. We just leave it to the default one. So basically, it would have at 1,500 feet reduced thrust there, but there we go. We've got full climb as well. Who else we got here? Petrich, when you hit fixal failures, it resets fuel to some extent too. Yeah, I think I've done that before in testing. But yeah, it looks like we've got the correct amount there, 4.6. Fair play is why some of the Boeing 737 pilots switch off the electric hydraulic pumps off prior to the pushback. That's a great question. It's something my operator used to do. It's to do with older generations of the 737, where if you didn't use a bypass pin or something, there's a risk that basically it's a risk of them getting their fingers trapped or something. But basically we always use a bypass pin for pushback now, which bypasses the hydraulics anyway. And basically if you keep turning the A pumps off on over time, it wears them out or decreases its lifespan. So as long as a bypass is installed, we leave the A pumps on now. I think some operators still turn it off there. Rory Heap, nice to see you here. One of my long-term members who's blind. He's an absolutely superb fellow. Great to see here. In real life, it must be really tempting to enjoy the situation just a little bit too much. You're right, Rory, but it is also not worth filing a report to say why you busted an altitude climbing at 8,000 feet per minute. You'll see, guys. The climb rate's going to be absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. There we are. There we go. Several saying stabiliser motion without the out of true position. So yeah, this aircraft, I've gone a full rated thrust. Basically, after takeoff, if we've been cleared to a higher cruise level, we delete the reduced climb thrust. And empty, the most ever I've had out of a 737, and this was actually the 700, empty, I've had it climbing at 7,000 feet per minute. In excess of, and I've actually gone right vertical speed to slow it down because it's just crazy doing 7,000 feet per minute. It's your attitude's up well above 11-12 degrees. Yeah, absolute balmy. You'll see it today. It's very well modelled, the thrust in this aircraft. Right, we've been natting on loads. Let's do the safety inspection before start checklist.
Safety inspection checklist. Surfaces and chocks.
Checked.
Maintenance status.
Checked.
Battery.
On.
Electric hydraulic pumps.
On.
Landing gear lever.
Down.
Ship's library.
Checked.
Safety inspection checklist complete.
There we are. So the light test is done, and we can also do the oxygen as well. Ooh. No, I think that's simulated me putting it on. Oh, I better take it off. No, how do I take it off? Oh no, that's new. How do I turn off the oxygen briefing? I don't know if you can hear me breathing for the entire sector. I didn't even know that was a thing. I accidentally pressed the wrong click spot. Can the pressurization catch up? Yeah, it should be able to. Captain Vader up in here. I was waiting for that. May the 4th be with you, Vader. It's in the view menu, thank you. I don't think I could disable it. How do I turn it off? I can't be breathing like this the entire stream. Oh no. Oh. Try one of the screws. Actually, that's a good point. Hold on. Thank you. So that one's on, that one's off. How fitting was that? It's impossible, unfortunately. There we go. Turn on show cockpit click regions. Tom hates cats. Very wise. Absolutely. Oh, I've got my new favourite sound on my soundboard today. I'll be playing this at any opportunity I can. Hold on, where's my volume here for Chrome? For those of you who are watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
A megapint.
I've got a megabyte soundboard. Absolutely brilliant. Right.
Before start checklist to the line. IRS mode selectors.
Nav.
Gear pins.
Removed.
Light test.
Checked.
Oxygen.
Tested 100%.
Yaw damper.
On.
Nav transfer and display switches.
Normal and auto.
Fuel.
So fuel require minimum of 3.6. We have 4.6 on board and
Checked.
Fuel pumps.
4 on.
4 pumps on.
Cabin util IFE galley power.
On.
Emergency exit lights.
Armed.
Fasten belts.
On.
Window heat.
On.
Air conditioning.
PEX auto. Bleeds on.
Pressurization.
So go to 230 and land elevation 200 feet set.
Set.
Pressurization mode selector.
Auto.
Instruments.
Cross-checked.
Auto brake.
RTO.
Hydraulics.
Normal.
Speed brake.
Down D10.
Parking brake.
Set.
Stab trim cutout switches.
Normal.
Wheel well fire warning.
Checked.
Radios, radar and transponder.
So set squawk 1077 and it's still in standby.
Set and standby.
Rudder and aileron trim.
3 and 0.
Takeoff briefing.
That's discussed. Already.
Discussed.
PA.
So there's no passengers on, so
Complete.
that's fine.
FMC CDU.
There's now set.
Set.
N1 and IAS bugs.
N1 and IIS Auto, V-speed set,
Full 26k.
Stab trim.
set,
Reduced 26K.
Performance, weight and balance.
I forgot to delete the assumed temperature. There we are, 98.0. My apologies, guys. Now we're full 26k.
checked,
EFB.
airplane mode and stowed,
Phones.
off,
Flight deck windows and cockpit door.
closed,
Doors.
not again,
Ah! Thanks, checklist. You saved me from embarrassing myself. So they... Closed.
closed,
Okay.
Passengers.
seated,
Before start checklist completed to the line.
So obviously, with no cabin crew on board, it's the pilot's responsibility to secure the cabin. So when we're positioning an empty aircraft, I'll do a cabin inspection, make sure that if there are any galley carts, they're all stowed and locked properly. I then have to do a full inspection of the cabin, as the cabin crew would do, check all the overhead bins, then go to the rear galley, make sure the rear galley carts are stowed, and we then arm the front slides only. There's no point arming the rear slides because there's no one there, but it's our responsibility to make sure the doors are closed and we arm the slides properly as well. That's pretty much it. The operation for us is exactly the same regardless of the amount of passengers we have on board. Excellent, Andy, nice to see you here. Recheck performance. We did. Thank you to your checklist. Hope you had a good birthday yesterday as well, sir. Thank you very much for tuning in. Right, let's tune in to London Centre and get our clearance. The frequency I just need to grab is... where did he want me to tune? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay, trying to make our way up to Wick. November 42 Lima Romeo, that's understood. If you need to park,
I do the coffee cup.
remain outside controlled airspace and give me a call for airways joining instructions.
London Control, this is German Cargo 65. Excuse me, sir, for delay. I set my microphone and with you.
Akhtar, the mental image of a galley cart going run down the entire length of the plane only to crash into the centre console's worrying. Yeah, we still do close the door.
65.
0125, feet 2 for the ready. 345, runway 232, clear for takeoff, wind
This guy's
28019.
busy. How does he control such huge areas? He's centre
Different
controls.
takeoff, 0125. 2406, climb flight level 290.
Yeah, we can't use the gate.
Easy 2211, route direct L1.
Direct Airbus, easy 2211.
T851, stop climb
Don't
flight
forget,
level
this is London Centre I'm
320.
talking to. It's a huge
Stopping
area.
at 3 to Series C, Air Canada 777, right heading 200 degrees, cleared ILS runway T3 right. Canada 777, right heading 200, cleared ILS T3 right.
Heading 200, clear ILS 23 right.
London Centre, hello, it's Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf at Cardiff, stand 16. Departure course copied 1077 for push and start.
That's right, I didn't get your call, I'll just go back, break North Shuttle 528, descend flight level 140.
Descend flight level 140, Shuttle taxi.
November 2 Romeo Foxtrot, line up runway 32.
Great to have the
Fast
AC
track is
report
required.
this. Obviously, this is a centre controller controlling multiple airports.
Copied, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, thank you. Push and start approved to the QNH in Cardiff 1019.
Push start approved QNH 1019, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Huge amount
Alpaca
of
1 Alpha November,
respect
one
for these
ready taxi,
guys.
holding
I
point
don't know how they
Alpha
do
1.
it. They've got so much capacity. So packs off, everybody's on, anti-collision lights on, parking brake is set, transponders out off, and now we can do a checklist as well.
Before start checklist below the line. Air conditioning packs.
off,
Anti-collision light.
on,
Parking brake.
set,
Transponder.
out of,
Before start checklist complete.
Let's get out of here.
023, climb flight level 320.
Oh, I think I'm
Okay, starting
Very good.
professional and Jimmy calculated.
just double checking that trim.
Maintain 300.
Just checking the webcam. Yeah, it's still a little bit done here. Oh, you fool! You absolute imbecile! I forgot to put the APU on the bus. Oh, unbelievable!
Canada 777
Oh my god. So yaw damper's on, water brake. This is very realistic. These are all the correct features that stop working if you don't put the AP on the bus. Now water brakes work. There we are. We do a full checklist anyway. So, and it causes all sorts of problems with electrics as well. You often get TR unit and E-leg faults if that happens. Starting engine number 2. Oh, I've got X-plane effects on as well. ARP. 25% fuel coming in. Cameron, why would you take the packs off? With packs on if there's no passengers, you need them off to be able to start the engines.
Location is now complete. Please sit back and brake.
Too much bleed demand from the packs. Not enough bleed demand to start the engines, so we always turn them off.
Disconnecting tail, please stand by.
Excellent. Starting engine number 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, 2 stable.
7 Romeo Echo, descent flight level 120.
Just take the GP with you, unbelievable.
VMod 13 Foxtrot, regret Merley.
Yeah, it's disconnected. Clearly. Oil pressure N1.
Descent flight level 140. Descent flight level 140.
Has been disconnected and bypass grid has been removed. The signal will be on the right. Have a safe flight. See you after the bye.
Cheers, Amy. We'll look out for the bypass pin there. Great question there, just saw from Dave. Hello, Captain. If you find an issue during walk-around, say a worn tyre that you feel is unsafe, is there a debate between pilot and maintenance and whose opinion takes precedence? Great question there. So if we see anything, we're not engineers, remember, but we obviously have a rough idea of what a tyre should look like or its general condition. And I'd be very surprised if an engineer would ever want you to go if it was deemed unsafe. They have tolerable limits. I would trust them in their opinion, but if I genuinely wasn't happy with it, the captain is the one who always has the final say. No one else can override it. Captain's not happy, says I'm not going, we're not going until it's been rectified. Simple as that. But I don't think you'd ever find a situation where an engineer would say that's fine and a pilot would say no it isn't. It'd be very unlikely, but it is always the captain that has the final say. Bleeds off takeoff. I could do a bleeds off takeoff for a little bit more oomph, but trust me, this would be more than sufficient in excess providing thrust there. Right, let's do the before taxi flow now anyway. And anti-ice off, packs auto AP mood is off, flaps to 5, flight controls full forwards, full back, full right, and full left. Here comes the rudder, full right, full left, recall, and we can blank the lower DU, and then we'd read the before taxi checklist, or we'll get Andy to do it.
Before taxi checklist. Generators.
On.
APU.
Off.
Start switches.
Continuous.
Probe heat.
On.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Air conditioning.
PEX auto, bleeds on.
Isolation valve.
Auto.
Flaps.
Flips 5 required and selected, green light.
Perfect.
Stab trim.
Set.
Start levers.
Idle detent.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Recall.
Checked.
Before taxi checklist complete.
Excellent, all good. Received our taxi clearance. Ah, okay. London centre's just closed. He just sent me a message now. Hey man, sorry, struggle to hear people. With people not listening, have a good one. Closing in a mo. Sorry for any issues you guys got getting out. Oh, no problem at all.
Nice.
That's bad, isn't it, mate? He's still here.
Now what do we do?
There we go. He's just left, unfortunately. Right. Well, we shall go on Unicom 1228 and request taxi. Well, advise for taxi. Cardiff traffic Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf taxi hold point runway 30. Perfect. So lights on. Clear left, what we're doing rolling. And clear right, here comes the config. There we are, no takeoff config warning, about 30% to initiate taxi. So when the aircraft's really light like this, you can see already, look, I've got about 30% there and it's already accelerating quickly. If you're at 75 tons max takeoff weight, you sometimes need 35% plus just to break the inertia to get the aircraft moving. You can see here, look, 10 knots in no time at all. Really, really nice. If hope packs off, you want me to do a bleed off takeoff as well? Unbelievable. That's not going to increase my workload significantly. Now, honestly, you'd probably get an extra. You're going to get an extra 0.8% thrust. It won't make any difference, guys. It's already going to climb like, and it'll be crazy. Ah, it's an Alpaca Canada. I think that was Anon taking off, actually. I forgot to get rid of the Alpaca Canada liveries. Oop! He sort of trampolined off the runway there. Beautiful. It's nice to have a proper camera system. Honest. I do prefer the cameras. They jump on the oxygen mask on, then it won't matter. Get to put it back on. Ridiculous. Right, best do the before takeoff checklist. A config we checked, flaps we've got. Oh no, I keep doing that by memory. I've got a checklist, haven't I?
Before takeoff checklist to the line. Config.
Checked.
Flaps.
Flips 5 set, green light.
Stab trim.
Set.
Takeoff briefing.
4.5 units set. Takeoff briefing. Pax auto bleeds on. The V speeds are set for departure. They are 112, 113, 129 set. We're flying a Brecon 1 Alpha. Just climb straight ahead until we get to the echo point, which is 4 miles, and it's going to be a right turn inbound to the Brecon VOR. Stop altitude 6,000 feet, NADP2, so we'll accelerate at 1,000 feet AGL, top of the white bar. Any problems, we'll climb straight ahead to 4,000 feet, diagonal is the problem, and go from there. So, that is reviewed.
Reviewed.
Cabin.
Secured.
Before takeoff checklist completed to the line.
Excellent.
50.
Oh, I'm going to turn that off as well.
30,
Thank you. Cheers,
20,
John Padfield, for the £5.
10.
Very kind of you.
Looking forward to this Concorde-style takeoff, Captain. Great stream.
You're going to get a Concorde-style takeoff for sure. Thank you very much, John Padfield, for your donation. It's very much appreciated. Thank you for your continued support and as well for being such an active member in my little community. Thank you very much, buddy. Yes, so guys, this takeoff, full 26 MTK, 26k MT, I've never done it. Done it in the sim, and it is balmy. And what you get in the mod will be exactly what you would get in the real aircraft if you were to do this. We're going to be rotating as soon as I push toga. It's going to be so quick, and to maintain V2 plus 20, we're going to have to, well, in reality, you'd have to set an attitude way in excess of 20 degrees nose up. At my operator, it's a standard Boeing limitation. Maximum attitude is 20 degrees nose up. So we're going to hold 20 degrees nose up, but that will make the aircraft accelerate, and as soon as we get to 1,000 feet we can accelerate to our up speed, which would probably pretty much be at with that thrust there as well. Yeah, it's going to be very excessive. Yoke cam, I'll handle it as much as possible. I'll plan to level off with the yoke at 6,000, get the automation in, then we'll do the after takeoff checklist. So imagine we've got our takeoff clearance, transponder to TARA.
Welcome.
I better put yoke cam on as well, so that mute the alerts. We've got it all set up properly now. What else have I forgotten? Weather radar as well too. Perfect. So parking brake released. Have a quick look here just to make sure no one is around. There is an aircraft. Ryanair on stand. That's fine. So let me just. How do I close this? Ryanair moving suspiciously. So MCP. Let's run the checklist. It's just moving on its own with no thrust. It's exactly as it would do if it was empty and it was no slope here. So let's do below the line. I think I've forgotten something.
Before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP.
Set.
Transponder.
TARA.
Strobe lights.
On.
Landing lights.
On.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Excellent. So clear to take off as well. Auto throttle now. Thanks, Alejandro. It's all on, sir. It's all on. Countdown required. This is going to be ridiculous. Right then, Toga's in chat. Getting all lined up here. Perfect. Right, well, I'll hold it on the brakes. Okay, until 40%. Right, there we are, 40% coming up. Holding on the brakes for you. You all stabilised. EGT would usually decrease slightly, but looking good. Set takeoff thrust. Light forward pressure. And you would feel this, guys. You would feel like it's being kicked into the back of the seat. Airspeed's already alive.
80 knots.
Check to release forward pressure. And off thrust levers. Up we go. Straight off the ground. Very quick to rotate. Pause rear climb. Gears coming up. And the flight directors are going to command
400.
Almost 20 degrees there. Bit of carbon coming out there. Well, that's my nose a little bit excessive there, so we'll bug up. And it has actually gone to climb for us now. Watch my attitude as well. So it's really slow. I'm going to have to do that manually. Let me just bug up here. There we are. So flaps 1. A little bit of turbulence actually. Flaps up. And to trim as we accelerate. And as soon as it gets back to the upspeed, the flight director is going to command a further climb. Look, still wanting to put the nose up. We're nearly up at 5,000 feet per minute. So we're going to go vertical speed. Oh, wrong way. 1,000 feet per minute. So we're approaching our cleared level. It would have probably bit into outer choir a bit sooner. There we are. There's 1,000 feet per minute. Just get it all trimmed out there. Much more calm, much more stable. And that's exactly how the aircraft would react. It'd be absolutely a bat out of hell there. Unbelievable.
1,000 to go.
Checked. A little bit of light turbulence here. It's all trimmed out quite nicely though. And now look at our upspeed. Upspeed's only 188 knots because we're so light. So coming up to our 4DME point, we're going to make our right turn now inbound to the VOR. And as you increase the, as you turn, you have to increase the back pressure to maintain level flight here and retrim as needed. That's all modelled quite nicely in the modern sim. Not recommended by Boeing, but I will engage the autopilot at the turn. There we are, Command A. And we'll quickly rattle off the after takeoff checklist. So, gears off, auto brakes off, start switches off, air conditioning and pressurisation, diffs 2.2 climbing. Looking good here. Air conditioning and pressurisation set. And QNH 1019 passing 5,900 for 6,000. We're going to go all the way up to our cruise level here. Flight level 230, there's no ATC, and we'll imagine the after takeoff checklist is complete. So, 230 set, delete, 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 VNAV, set standard, and watch this climb rate. Passing 59 flight level 230. So firstly it's going to accelerate to 220 knots. I'll delete that speed restriction because the turn's complete. So it's now going to accelerate to 250. And once it's at 250 knots, watch the rate of climb, and you really, on the line, especially in the London TMA, if you're flying an empty aircraft with full climb thrust, you've got to be really careful because you can get TAs and RAs from your excessive rate of climb, even though you're 3,000 feet away from the aircraft. Come on your bed, buddy, come on your bed. So watch that. We're accelerating and the aircraft's climbing at 3,000 feet per minute. It's crazy, and you watch once it gets established at 250. What attitude! Remember here, it's pitching for a speed. It's pitching for VNAV speed here. 250. This is full climb thrust, and this is exactly what the real aircraft would be giving you. Look, 4,500, 5,000 feet per minute. There you go, even more now. Look, crazy. attitude outside. Love the wing flex in here as well. Just reacting to the different loads on the aircraft. There we are, look at it going. Look, 109, flight level 230. So on pre-cruise checks. Fuel 4 pumps. We have 4 tons on board. Lights. Logos off. AP verifiers off. Pressurization 4.5 and set. No passengers for sleeper seatbelt sign on. Recall. We then log into CPDLC and that's it. Check's complete. To the moon, said Anon. Are you going empty as well? I didn't ask, but there we go. Look, econ climb speed 285 knots, climbing at 4,400 feet per minute. And the pressurization, usually in the real aircraft, it would increase the rate of climb. So just to keep the aircraft at a sensible sort of pressurization. I've seen it go up to sort of 900 to 1,000 feet per minute in real life if you're climbing very quickly. Yeah, just keep up. But it's no limitation. You can climb as to whatever you can achieve. There's no issue with the pressurization. Domino Mosina, why does Boeing not recommend turning the autopilot on in a turn? So it's not a prohibition, you can do it. It's not recommended because I don't really know. I mean, technically, in a turn it's quite dynamic. You're having to change your amount of back pressure. As you increase your rate of turn, you have to increase your back pressure. So the idea is Boeing want you to only engage the autopilot when you're sort of nicely in trim, no input on the control column, and typically during a turn you always have to make small inputs. But it's not prohibited, you can do it, it's just not recommended in the FCTM. Look at that, 6 minutes airborne, we're already nearly at 20,000 feet. Bear in mind we also levelled off briefly at 6,000. PMDG is releasing this week, rumoured this weekend, from PMDG's own mouths. Which is why I was desperate to get a stream done today, because I obviously don't want to miss out on the aircraft. As soon as it's released, I want to get into it and stream it. And I didn't want to leave it so long between flying the ZIBO mod. That's Orbex True Earth down there, looking very nice. So that is Optimus Subprime. That is a Boeing FCTM limitation. I'll try and find it for you. Look at this aircraft go. So, flight crew training manual. I would love to show you on the camera, but this is not my... I didn't write the manual. FCTM. Welcome. Thank you for everyone for subscribing. Find the exact quote, but it is somewhere here, and I will try and find it before the end of the stream. Well, I'll try and find it for you, Domino, mostly for the Discord. Right, so you can see as we climb, density is decreasing, so the performance decreases as well, but you can usually sustain this sort of climb rate to a much higher cruise level. But there we are, it's already bitten into VNAV path, approaching the cruise level. And there we are, 8 minutes later at flight level 230, with top of descent about 75 miles away. So there we are. We've got Gatwick ground online and ATIS, so hopefully try and pick up some weather later. Elon Simbrief gave me 270, but I'm only there for 9 miles till descent. Yeah, it would have given you a much lesser cruise time at flight level 270 there. So I was quite surprised. I knew RNAV approach request would win. Quite a lot of people actually wanted ILS, 35%, so we'll plan for the RNAV approach. Daniel, in situations like this when you're very light, would you rather climb in VS or VNAV? I'd prefer to use VNAV, but approaching your cleared altitude, certainly want to reduce that rate of climb using vertical speed. So, as you saw, below 10,000, in excess of 4,000 or 5,000 feet per minute is quite normal. So if I was approaching my cleared altitude with 4,000 feet to go, I wouldn't want to be doing in excess of 4,000 feet, so I would select vertical speed and reduce the rate of climb. Same at 3,000 feet, you want to be doing 3,000 feet per minute, 2,000 feet per minute, etc, etc. Electric sparks when flying into Dublin on the ILS to 8 left. Is the localizer supposed to be off centre using the Aerosoft Dublin V2? Nope, should be bang on. Boundless, I think, are about to release Dublin. I think it was Boundless that sent me an email saying they would like to send me a copy of their Dublin airport, which is really cool to have. Excellent. Victor, I'm a glider pilot and we have to use a lot of rudder to coordinate turns. Is that the same for a 737? Absolutely not, Victor. We don't touch the rudder at all to coordinate turns. The only time we're using rudder is the decram during takeoff or landing on a crosswind, engine failure, and that's it. Maintaining sense line on a runway. We just don't. You don't use rudder on commercial jet airliners to coordinate turns. There's such a huge control surface as well. You know, even the slightest touch would you get an immediate response, and it is designed to counteract the yaw in the event of an engine failure at the most critical speed. So VMCA, which is what V2 is based off. Excellent. Rory, excellent question there, and something I was wanting to cover. What's different landing characteristics are there when you're landing light? So I will talk about it during the flare. The landing technique today is exactly the same as all 737 landing techniques. It is the check, close, hold technique. Now, because we're much lighter, our approach speed is going to be much slower, and resultingly our rate of descent to maintain a fixed glide path will also be less. It'll be more shallow. It's based off your ground speed. 5 times your ground speed for a 3-degree ILS is your required rate of descent. So today we'll be flying around 500-600 feet per minute. So, two things. One, the aircraft will want to keep flying, especially if you're high on speed when you're light. It just is so floaty. So you've got to be really careful with regards to getting the aircraft on the ground. Don't fly in fast. Secondly, you can delay your check as low as 10 feet. Okay, now there's no actually specified height at which to initiate check. The FCTM does say check at 20 feet, then close, then hold, or my airline's guidance here. But it very much is based off your rate of descent. If you're barreling in at 700-800 feet per minute, a little bit high, if you check at 20 feet, it ain't going to work. You're going to hit the ground very firmly. If you're coming in like we are today, the correct rate of descent to stay on the correct path, 400-500 feet per minute, honestly, I'll try and do it for you today, guys. I'll check at about 10-15 feet. 10-15 feet, small check, close, and then just hold the attitude. But you can really delay the flare when you're light here, as you'll see today, and it is beautifully modelled in the mod, indeed. Right, anyway, guys, we really don't have long. We've got to rattle... got to quickly rattle away this approach briefing, get it into the FMC. So let me just select the airport charts. There's only ground online, so although there is tower, so when we go over to tower we'll advise we're flying the RNAV approach. The arrival's exactly the same. So we're flying a Bedek 1 Golf. Now, interestingly, there's a restriction at Bedek, but our flight plan doesn't have us flying via Bedek. It has us going to Nigget from the previous waypoint. So just check the flight plan here. So it's Kennet, then Nigget on the flight plan. That means when we check the chart, we're actually missing the Bedek restriction. So as we're not flying to Bedek, we're sort of flying the Bedek 1 Golf but starting at Nigget. We can sort of disregard this restriction. ATC in reality would advise if there was. So we'll do a CDA really from 230, disregarding this restriction at Bedek because we're not flying there. And we're going to go from Nigget to Midhurst to Tufos, max 250, which is coded, to Holly, max 220. Question for you guys, okay, because I noticed this during the test sector. Would anyone like to explain, once I've updated this, after Holly, so you go to Willow, if you're not cleared you'd enter the hold at Willow, but typically what happens after Holly, you get vectors. So I'm going to select RNAV to 6 left, and just go direct to O'Levy. So RNAV 26 left, Medic Golf, execute. We're going to go from Willow. I'm going to create a waypoint from O'Levy. Would anyone, whilst I'm doing that, by the way, just get rid of the Willow restriction. Why on earth is the FMC doing this? Does anyone in chat know why the FMC is doing this. Why has it made a bit of a kink in that turn? Anyone know in chat? So you'll see, look, from a levee, it's a bit of a sharp turn, so what I'm going to do is create a waypoint just to make it a little bit tidier. We'll make it 90 degrees offset, so 258 off minus 90 is 168, so 168 radial based off this waypoint, and then we'll make a waypoint 4 miles away. And I'll put that here, and you can see, look, it creates a nice little waypoint for a bit more of a you know, slightly better base leg. And it's probably a little bit more representative of the expected trek there. Excellent, guys. Yeah, it's a flyover waypoint. Flying too fast. Good Dazza. You're along the... You know, it can sometimes happen that you have an overshoot like that, but this is because it's an overfly waypoint. So you see how on the chart we have a star. This is a flyby waypoint, so the FMS will take that into account and cut it if required. But you see how this has a circle around it? That means it's a fly over waypoint. You can't turn early. You'll only command the turn once after passing that waypoint, and that's also depicted here on the legs. It'll actually go like this because it wants to fly that track to a levee, and it has to overshoot to get back onto the required track. So it's not to do with the speed, it's just the fact that it's a fly over waypoint at Holly. Excellent, so we've got the restrictions in Holly 220 knots, and then we're expecting vectors. If not, we'll make a left turn to hold at Willow, max flight level 70. Just check where top of descent is, not far away. And then we're going to fly the RNAV approach. So RNAV approach, the final approach course is 258. 258. We're not going to tune the ILS because we're not flying an approach, but I will tune the Midhurst VOR 14.0. Mandatory to be at the Kilo 26 Lima Foxtrot point at 3,000 feet, which is the final approach fix. Minimum's LNAV VNAV minima 580. We don't need to add 40 feet to this because it is a decision altitude, not an MDA, so we can initiate a go around at this height. So 580, and preset the QNH at London Gatwick, which is 1018. 1018. So when we're flying a non-precision approach or a non-ILS, we brief what we call a double brief to make sure we're happy, or pilot monitoring is happy with regards to how pilot flying is going to fly. So I'm going to do that now for you guys. We'll look at the chart. There's no terrain issues. 3,000 feet all the way around the airport. It's going to keep us terrain safe. Talks about what to do in regards to loss of comms. This procedure is not applicable when the temperature is below -10 because of cold temperature errors, so you could probably fly it, but you'd have to use LNAV minima if it was below -10. And again, missed approach there too. Now we'll get vectors. If not, I'm going to self-position to O-Levy. We set MCP altitude already, guys. We're not messing around. We'll just set 80. So the aircraft will start its descent. Onto a levee, and we've got 3,000 feet or above for a transition. Look, you can see the speed's really low already because we're so light. Final approach fix is 3,000 feet, so we're going to use LNAV and VNAV today. And configuration, it's VMC, so we can plan to configure no later by 4 miles, 10 miles. We must have flat 1 selected. So our fixed rings are in, and RVR required, a little higher than an ILS, 1,100 metres with all the lights. That's it. Don't forget to set the best approach altitude when you're 1,000 feet AGL. That's really, really important. And that's it. Really not much else to add. If I had the time, I'd go into a little bit more detail about the intricacies of RNAV approaches, but you guys have seen me fly it before. I won't go into it much more. So we're super light today. Again, performance-wise, we'd always calculate it regardless, but landing on 26 left, we could stop it. Honestly, if you wanted to, you could stop in 500 metres with flat 40 max order brake, but we're going to realistically vacate an Echo first high speed. No problem at all at this weight. Thank you very much, King Nick.
Have you found any force feedback yokes that provide a close enough representation to real yokes responses? For X, runner, etc.
I haven't, King Nick. Firstly, thanks for your $5. That's very kind of you. Appreciate the support. I've heard good things about the Bro yoke, but there's no force feedback yoke that I know of. So basically, in the real 737, there's no force feedback. It sort of replicates increased control forces required when you're flying faster to sort of replicate the loads involved, because it's all artificial. But obviously that's not modelled with the TCA yoke either. But yeah, I don't know or wouldn't know of any yoke there. Thank you very much for your donation. Appreciate it. Right. Gatwick approaches online, 126825. I've already done the performance. Flap 30, water brake 2. And yeah, we'll just take Echo and then taxi on to stand. Watch me get lost in Gatwick. Excellent. Oh, I did put the descent winds in, which is why the speed's probably bleeding off slightly. Gatwick approach, good evening, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, descending flight level 80, inbound to Midhurst on the Bedeck 1 Golf.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, Gatwick Director. Hello, information Tango current landing 26 left, no delay. Route direct to, confirm where your route direct to the moment is at Midhurst.
Route direct to Midhurst, and we'd like to request the RNAV approach for runway 26 left to eventually get vectors towards Odemi. Or O'Levy, sorry.
Takeoff, roger, be vectors for the RMP approach from runway 26 left.
Vectors the RNAV 26 left, thank you. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Yeah, you see how the speed's drifting off? That's because I have not put the descent forecast winds in bids at the time.
Earrings 23 kilo,
so let's put in 150 and 100. You might see a slight change in the profile.
50.
Oh, busy,
40,
busy workload.
30. 20.
This is why it's,
10.
don't ever want to brief for the approach there. Ed2, thank you very much for the $5, buddy.
As we come in for our landing today, I just want to say good luck. We're all counting on you. May the 4th be with you.
Thank you very much. Ed2, really appreciate that. Thank you for your continued support. May the 4th be with me. Basically want to put the mask back on. Unbelievable. There we are, put the winds in. It hasn't made much change, still on profile, and it has gone back to ARM FMC speed. So we have actually in the ZIBO mod the latest FMC update, which actually changes, it's called U14, it changes the logic with VNAV. So what you can do is you can actually open the speed window and it stays in VNAV path now, even in the descent phase, and it's quite useful actually. If ATC want you to fly a specific speed, you can just simply open the speed window now. Instead of going to VNAV speed, it will stay in VNAV path and go to FMC speed. So it's actually, I use this on the line a lot. The other option is, whilst you're in ARM, which you'll see here, you can add thrust manually, but there's no need now. You can just simply push speed into vent and it'll add thrust for you, which is really cool. Did I actually select VREF? I just saw that in chat. I did. VREF 129 will be the fly speed. Okie dokie. Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization.
Stand by. Just making sure we make this restriction. So we've got 250 knots at 2 fars. A little fast. We've got 0.7, and it is actually commanding the speed. So pressurization, land out 200 is set.
Set.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Approach briefing and fuel.
Is discussed. Actually, our alternate, we needed 1.8, we've got 2.9, so we've got 30 minutes for Stansted.
Discussed.
IAS and alt bugs.
Checked and set.
Checked and set.
Descent checklist complete.
So it's now got to VNAV speed. Again, this is the U14 logic. It'll prioritise the commanded speed and not the path anymore. That's completely normal. So what you need to do is open the speed window. In the case here, we're limited to 250 knots. So what you can do is just use speed brake. It'll stay in VNAV speed until it gets back onto profile. And this is so much better than the previous builds of VNAV. So watch this, increase rate of descent with speed brake at 250. As soon as it gets back onto path, VNAV speed changes to timing. VNAV path, and then it'll now prioritise the path over the speed, and I can slowly stow the speed brake.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, left heading 070 degrees, up descent flight level 70.
Left heading 070 degrees, descend flight level 70, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. So immediately I'm getting a whopping shortcut here, so I'm going to go to level change 250, extend the speed brake, because my VNAV profile is based off me doing this full approach via Holly. I will now update to that waypoint I created, execute, buff, 1700 feet high, but I've already initiated that increased rate of descent to get back onto profile. That is precisely what I'd be doing in real life. Yaroslav, can I look at your last question? Let's have a
Alpaca
look.
1 Alpha, November descent to altitude 3000
Guys, you must remember that it is very busy. If I'm
altitude
missing
3000
you,
feet, Alpaca 1 Alpha, November.
it isn't because I'm ignoring you, it's just too much going on. Too much going on. Anyway, passing 10280, post-cruise checks. Fuel 4 pumps, lights on. APU is off, pressurization 4.0, and set.
Alpaca 1 Alpha, November, turn left heading 2905, establish low
So
to right, runway 26
25, there we are. Checks complete.
Left heading 2905 degrees,
So downwind now,
establish
26
localizer 26 left,
There
Alpaca
is
1 Alpha,
Gatwick.
November.
I've got the beautiful origami studio scenery installed, and we're approaching 1 to go, so I want to start reducing my rate of descent.
1,000 to go.
Why must the waypoint be flown over though? You've got to ask the people who designed the approach chart for that. Yeah, Aaron Hastings, I agree. We use nav blue charts on my operator. I prefer them so much more over Jefferson, so much more. So now under any speed control, we're level at 80, so I'm going to start bringing the speed back so I can recover the energy once we get further descent. To be fair, we're going to probably get a few extra track miles here, so I'm going to do... Actually, we'll just see what he's going to give us. No CDA at this point, it's only really below 6,000 it starts. Oh, was it? Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, confirmed cleared altitude.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf is flight level 80.
Descend flight level 80, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Why are you all saying 7,000 feet? Why are you saying that? You're confusing me, that's why I listened to ATC. Maybe he was someone else. ATC said maintain 80.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, you can descend to altitude 5,000 feet, Gatwick QNH 1017.
Descend 5,000 feet, QNH is 1017, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf.
50, 40,
1017
30,
sets.
20,
Passing 8,000, 5,000, standby altimeter is set. Aqua Vital, thanks for the fiver, buddy.
Hello, Captain. Here's £5 for a mic compressor so we all could hear you better.
Oh, really? Is it? I don't even know what one of those is. That's really kind, Aquatil. I'll look into that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'll look into getting a mic compressor. I'm actually looking to perhaps get an entire headphone upgrade. I love the Steel Arcticus 5, and I've had it since I've started streaming, but they have a 9, and I do enjoy that. Oh, he did say 70, did he? Amazing. Thank you very much, buddy.
Alpaca 1 Alpha November, you can descend to altitude 2,000 feet, further with the glide path. Descend altitude 2,000 feet and further with the glide.
So I'm a little bit
Alpaca 1
high on
Alpha
profile,
November.
but I can easily fix this. I'm not sure at what point he's going to send us in. We're going to update the speed to 220 knots. That's going to rebuild our profile based off 220. So showing 1,000 feet high, but I just want to see at what point he turns us on base leg.
Hello, easy.
Defo said 7, did he? Okay, I believe you guys.
3,500 feet. Easy 84 Papa X-ray, Gatwick direct, hello, climb now, flight level 110. 110, easy 84 Papa X-ray. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, descend to altitude 3,000 feet, and you can turn left heading 025.
Descend 3,000 feet, left heading 025 degrees, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. So let's now update to O'Levy. Execute. About 400 feet high, looking perfect. So that's why I didn't dive down, because we're just waiting for that turn. Sounds much better. Yeah, mic placement was the adjustment. There we go. That should be a bit better. A bit random, but has anyone noticed YouTube site's been updated with the YouTube logo placed a bit to the right? Yes, and I think they've changed the text as well on my YouTube homepage, I noticed. Look at our upspeed today, because we're so light. 190 knots.
2400, level my airspace 12, com 122, decimal 82.
So when you're flying a non-precision approach in VNAV, you never want to be too far from your VNAV profile. By the time he turns us on our intercept heading, we're going to be pretty much bang on it. So I'll just stick with level change for a second.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, turn left heading 350 degrees.
Left heading 350 degrees, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. This is looking really nice. So we'll do a quick approach checks. We're not using the frequencies for the approach. We've got the range rings in for runway 26 left, 10-4. No idents for an RNAV, and the courses are set. Let's do the approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters and instruments.
Set cross-checked.
Set and cross-checked.
Approach aids.
Checked and set.
Approach checklist complete.
Looking perfect, guys. Ground textures, this is Orbex True Earth. It's basically like Ortho on steroids. It's very, very nice.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, there's no ATC speed restriction. Resume navigation direct to levy. Cleared RMP approach runway 26 left.
Free speed direct to a levy after a levy cleared. RMP approach runway 27 left. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Look at that. I am bang on profile. LNAV, VNAV is commanding the upspeed already, so you've got several options. You can open the speed window, it will lock in VNAV path and approach logic, and because of now I'm extending flaps,
50,
and we can go straight
40,
to flap 1.
30, 20, 10.
Thank you very much, George W.O. for the £1.79. Very kind.
Ground school complete. Time to fly.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your
50,
donation.
40,
Congratulations for
30,
finishing your
20,
ground school as well.
10.
Appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy your flights and good luck with everything.
Good evening.
Tom Lawson, thanks for the 5. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Enjoy your day.
Shutting 410 Gatwick direct to
Should
hello.
not
Climb now flight
approach
level 7.
identification be shown on PFD?
Great question, thank you very much. Not without MPS scales or anything like Ian approach there. I'm just using LNAV and VNAV, so this is exactly as it should look, or what I'd expect it to look there. Thank you very much, Tom Nuds. I hope you're doing well, buddy. One of the older members on the, used to be a member on the channel. Awesome, so muted the alerts. There we go, and we're now final. So I can set runway heading 258. We are approaching our descent point, so we can set 600 feet, which is our minimums rounded up. Verify we have VNAV path with the speed window open, and we can go straight to flap 5. If you don't, the speed will run away if you've got flap 1, which is what that blinking light's telling me. That's the order throttle going, oh hi flight deck sim, I'm at idle thrust here, but you're accelerating. So it's basically saying do something about it. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf established, RMP 27 left.
Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, thank you. Contact with tower 124.225. Goodbye.
Tower 124.225, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, thanks for the ATC and CC.
Yep.
Perfect. Gatwick Tower, hello, it's Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, established RMP 26 left. So that's the final approach fix.
Charlie Golf, how you doing? How you doing? The surface wind 230 degrees, 6 knots, runway 26 left, clear to land.
How you doing? 26 left, clear to land, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf.
How you doing?
Right, so past the final approach fix, we check the height. Next we do height checks all the way down, okay? So next height check, 7 DME, okay? Check the chart, 7 DME. I need to be at precisely 2,480 feet. Here comes 7 DME, 2,480 feet. Your beauty. 6 miles, 2160. Again, we'll do the height check at 6 miles, 2160. And that's the RMP approach. Basically, you load it into the FMC, you use LNAV and VNAV, and it mirrors the approach off the chart. 2 reds, 2 whites, based off the ILS here. Absolutely beautifully flown in the mod. 6 miles, 2160. 6 miles, we're on profile. So I'm going to configure a little bit earlier so you can enjoy me do some hand flying. Go over to yoke cam. So gear down, flap 15, match speed, start switches, recall, speed brake, landing gear, down to green, flap 30, very low approach speed today, 128 knots, and we'll just run the landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Start switches.
Continuous.
Recall.
Checked.
Speed brake.
Armed green light.
Landing gear.
Down 3 greens.
Auto brake.
Auto brake 2 set.
Flaps.
Flaps 30 set. Green light.
Landing lights.
On.
Landing checklist complete.
So there we go.
Alpaca 1 and off the number, you can hold.
So you can see here, look, our gross weight today, this is pitch and power settings for a 46 ton aircraft. We are interpolating one between 47 and 52.4, and altitude at 1 degree. So just get the aircraft settled here. It's just accelerating slightly because it's a bit low on speed, but you watch when we disconnect everything here. It'll be about 50%. The pitch and power in the mod is perfect. So disconnecting auto throttle, disconnecting autopilot. There's top of the white bar, so we can set the missed approach altitude 3,000 feet set. Very important to remember to do that, because in the event of a go around, you're going to get weird flight directed guidance if you don't have the missed approach set. Excellent. So all stable, approach speed 128. So remember what we talked about earlier, guys. Very light. The aircraft is very snappy as well. at these lighter speeds, but you can really delay the check, close, hold when you're light, so long as you're doing the correct rate of descent over the threshold. Really judgmental. There's no correct rate of descent really, but typically when you're light as this, you can check as low as 10 feet, and that's what I'm going to aim to do today. So beautifully in trim. The flight directors, remember, they're not going to give you as accurate guidance as they would an ILS because it's based off a virtual lateral and vertical path, so be wary of those. And in fact, on certain approaches we actually disable the flight directors or turn them off, but as the runway point was coded in the FMC, you can leave them on to assist with you. But as I get closer to the runway, I'm now predominantly increasing the amount of time I look outside.
Minimum.
Continue. Very nice inputs here, very smooth
300.
and very calm. Look at our ground speed, like 127 knots. We only need about 600, 700 feet per minute to maintain this descent. Keep descending. Try and delay this check as long as possible.
100.
Keep descending. Maybe a tad low now, actually.
50.
Wait till 10.
40. 30. 20.
Check.
10.
Close. Hold the attitude. And that's how you butter. Speed breaks up. Told you, 10 feet. Works a charm. The ZIBO mod is a beautiful machine. There's idle. Hundreds. Manual braking. You can't do it better than that, ladies and gentlemen. 80. And there's that first high speed. Maybe a little fast onto that one. 45 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gatwick. That was superb.
1 Charlie Golf, welcome to Gatwick. This plane can send you to the maintenance bay. Second left Tango, Juliet, hold short of Romeo.
Second left Tango and hold short of Romeo. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Wasn't that bad.
I was disappointed. It's just going to be Tango, Juliet, hold short of Romeo.
So Tango, Juliet, hold short of Romeo, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. And now I'm lost. I'm unfamiliar with Gatwick. So left on Tango, and then hold short of Romeo. Got it, so it's next left there.
263 was waiting for you to call by Mike 1. The surface winds 230 degrees, 6 knots, runway 26 left, clear for takeoff.
Runway 26 left, clear for takeoff, Pobeda 260.
So left on Tango, that's the next one, and then we'll hold short of Romeo. This is the beautiful Origami Studios scenery. Available on the Indie Build store. I was very fortunate to get a copy of this on release, and makes me want to actually fly to Gatwick more often than perhaps people would want to in real life. Ooh, shots fired, shots fired. Excellent. We'll take the next right. So yeah, that worked perfectly, and that's credit to ZIBO mod really. And I'm not saying this because I want to compare it directly to the PMDG straight away, but the physics and the flight model and the way airflow is simulated in this sim is it's identical to the Level D. Just the way aircraft handles. You see how I could just delay that check until 10 feet? It's because I know in real life I've done it. Empty aircraft check at 10 feet works perfectly. Guess what? Works in the ZIBO mod perfectly, because that's 5 years of hard work from a very small team of people who are driven to make this aircraft handle like the real one. And when X-Plane 12 comes out, guys, there's going to be some really interesting and cool features. Everything from the fact that when the speed brake extends after touchdown, you will see it hunker down onto the main gear. I seem to have received some interesting insight onto that. Right, so we're going to hold short of Romeo. We're going to get the parking stance up here as well. Go behind the old easy. Oh! Where are you going, sir? It's a Llama International Airways ground handling car just went past me. Right, holding short of Romeo. I'll catch up coming shortly. That is it today as well, guys. Very short stream. Jay, do you think the ZIBO mod is better than the Level Up? Yes. Level Up is certainly nicer textures. I think the cockpit looks really nice. I love the sounds in that thing as well. But yeah, the flight
welcome to the best airport in the UK. Hold short Romeo, ground 121 S-way. Your company's up in front, not sure what he's doing. You should be at ground, so.
No problem, he's moving now. 121.8. Thanks a lot for the great to see. We'll see you soon. Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. Awesome ATC, love it. Ground, hello, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, holding short of the Romeo taxiway on Juliet.
And Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf, thanks. Taxi stand 48, left via Juliet, Papa and Lima.
Stand 48, left via Juliet, Papa and Lima, Alpaca 1 Charlie Golf. So Juliet, Papa, Lima, stand 48, all the way up here. Bit of a trek, guys. Looking good. Tim Fraser, if you're here, I can just see someone say hello to you. I'll try and say hello to you in a second. Let me get back on stand. I've missed all the comments on the approach and the taxi, and I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Easy 21 Fox Alpha, apologies for the delay. Clearance is to Munich, Info 1 might depart.
We're super light today, so we can shut an engine down already. And at my operator, when we're lighter than 63 tonnes, we do try to shut an engine down. Some airports, they have a prohibition where we can do it because of slopes of the aprons and taxiways. But lightweights, the aircraft easily taxis around. And what I love about X-Plane 11, I've got thrust here on 31%, and without any input, it is yawing to the right on its own here. I'm not making any rudder input, and that is because of the differential thrust. You see how it's just going there, and it's exactly the same with the real aircraft. Same with a strong crosswind too, that'll cause the aircraft to yaw there. How do you get rid of AI traffic on X-Plane 11? Well, the aircraft you can see here are not AI, they're actual other users on VATSIM, and I don't think there is any AI traffic that I know of there. So we're going to take the next left, that's Adon in the Alpaca Canada livery. He's going the same way as us. We're going to take that left on to Papa.
Alpha, so apologies for that, read back correct.
Then up to Romeo. Sorry, Papa then.
No problem.
Stand 141 right. Yeah, there we are. Papa then right on Lima. So it is next left. Who paved the taxiways? Don't know. Origami Studios. 10 knots for the turns. It goes when I connect to VATSIM, there's AI traffic as well. Is that in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Well, you know, you did say X-Plane, didn't you, sir? I don't know then, I'm afraid. So, master caution. We've got hydraulics, that'll be low pressure on engine number 2, and source off and drive ELEC associated with shutting down engine number 2. What CSL do you use? Predominantly, not XCSL, it's the old Bluebird ones, but they've been updated, and Jamlin, one of my members who makes all the Alpaca Airways liveries, he's improved the texture quality on the CSLs for Alpaca Airways. They look absolutely awesome. Take AC, hey Captain, been watching from 800 feet, nice brother, thank you. How many people in chat would have believed me had I said, I bet I can flare at 10 feet and butter? It's possible.
Minimums.
And that's because when I used to be an SFI instructing PSCT, which is the circuit training in the sim, stand 48 right in the corner here, isn't it? I remember when I first saw it, and I was thinking, right, I've been watching people online and talk about flaring at 20, 30 feet. If you flare at 30 feet, all you do is you just balloon into the air. Poof, up you go. Up you go. Tim Fraser, thank you very much for the 40 bumps there, buddy. Back as a member, thank you very much. Sorry I missed you pop in the other day. I did see you did, but you caught me in an engine start phase and I was very busy. Back in the room, had a little bit of sabbatical from the group. I hope you're well, my friend. I have a possible for a scholarship for my PPL. That's amazing news, Tim Fraser. We welcome you back with open arms. Thank you very much for your return support, and keep us posted with your PPLs as well. And yeah, excellent. Ground radar is on, thank you. Get the AP up and running now. We've got 48 left. Take the 48 centre for the air bridge. 48 middle, as it's called in Gatwick. Oops, turn the lights off a little bit too. Reset the trim. This version of the ZIBO mod is also available now for you to download. It's 352.16. ZIBO did say he would release it upon me touching down. There we are, 4 units. That was a good guess. Oh, that's cool. Love it. Okay. Perfect. Right. Parking brake can now be set. Timed that perfectly. We have APUs available on bus, and we just finish up the cleanup. Shouldn't be off yet, but I'll just turn it down as part of the flow. There we are. 2 blues, 1 red. Engine's dead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London Gatwick. That was just an awesome flight. Mod was exemplary. Really, really good. X-Plane 12 hype train, absolutely. Why is that air bridge not coming over? Doesn't seem to have seen it. Oh, I think there needs to be an update or something. Oh, well, they'll have to. Well, it's only, to be fair, the crew on board, so we could just clamber down the air stairs, no problem. Let's have a look at some of these chat questions here. Adrian Aviation, I just joined. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, it's a short stream today. I'm actually on earlies. I am flying 4, 8, 12, 30, 14, 16 sectors. I'm flying 16 sectors over the next 5 days. Super excited. I'll try and keep you posted on social media, some pictures and stuff. I've got 3, 4 sector days in a row, but I've got some annual leave coming up, so I think they're just utilising the fact I can get my hours up a little higher. But that's fine by me. Am I complaining? No. I hope that in a way that PMDG release is delayed until after I finish my next block here. But one of those days I finish quite early, so I might stream if it is released. After my duty, we'll see. TKC, what graphics mods are you using? If you use the command exclamation mark plugins, you'll see what I am using, but I'm utilising good quality scenery. So Orbex True Earth, who's a partner of mine, they've got some amazing True Earth scenery. This is Origami Studios, Gatwick Airport, and Enhanced Skyscape Clouds. I haven't overloaded, that's all I've got, but it makes for a very pleasing visual experience. Gatwick Challenger, I'll ditch ZIBO for the PMDG off list of it. Guys, I'd love to, but I am on earlies tomorrow, and I really want to get things wrapped up by 6:45. The timing's actually quite good. Otherwise, I will definitely Gatwick Challenge again soon, for sure. We can do it both aircraft as well. What's the mod for other planes moving? That is VATSIM, Dab Boy Gamer, so those are other people simulating their virtual flights with ATC provided by real people as well. What Lua scripts do you use for X-Plane TKC? I use the landing rate calculator and the audio checklist, the audio bird checklist from Shorty. If you want to use the link for the checklist, exclamation mark checklist, and I think that's it. Excellent, saw that comment from TKC as well. How's it going? Just a question about how do I update the ZIBO mod for X-Plane 11. Do you happen to know? Aviation Zone, I'm very fortunate to have a direct link with ZIBO. He sends me the updates via DM directly, but I think the usual way off the website should be the same way off the X-Plane forum there. Perfect. Tim Fraser, I see your comment there. Hi, mates. I hope you're well, sir. Not been around for a while. Nice to see you pop in. Thank you very much. Gatwick's not so bad. I prefer Gatwick to Heathrow. Heathrow is crazy. Thoroughly enjoyable stream. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Rory, for your comments there. What a landing was. It was very nice. Worked out perfectly. We'll look at the replays and talk about it in a bit more detail there. Lots of butter emojis, yeah. So just to show you how it works. The way I fly the ZIBO mod is the way I fly the real aircraft, and the way I talk to you is the way I'd be talking to a student when I used to be an instructor. So that's it. I'll keep that going for as long as the channel keeps going as well. Right, anyway, we've done everything here. Let's I'll do the transit shutdown flow, just because we're going to go into the replay. And transit shutdown flow is basically that. Voice recorder on, Squawk 2000 standby. And that's it. And we then read the transit shutdown checklist.
Shutdown checklist. Electrical.
EPU on the bus.
Fasten belts.
Not again.
Yes, sorry, that is true.
Off.
Probe heat.
Off.
Anti-ice.
Off.
Voice recorders.
On.
Air conditioning packs.
Auto.
Engine bleed.
On.
APU bleed.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Checked.
Start switches.
Off.
Auto brake.
Off.
Speed brake.
Down D10.
Flaps.
Beautiful.
Up, no lights.
Parking brake.
Set.
Start levers.
Cut off.
Weather radar.
Off.
Transponder.
Stand by.
CVR circuit breaker.
In.
Cockpit door.
Unlocked.
Did it.
Shutdown checklist complete.
There we go. That's the transit shutdown checklist. Cool. Well, we're going to call that a day here. We'll shut off that music in the background. And it's been a while, but should we cue the funky replay music for the replay? There we go. Excellent. Let's... I won't zoom in all the way, but you can see, look, I just kept that rate of descent. It's very tempting to shy away from the runway, but just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Check. Oh! Wicked, wicked. Now, if you're at 60 tons, you won't get away with that. And an empty aircraft, it usually works out as a perfect landing. 10-foot flare. Oh! It works. It just works. Nice on reverse. So exactly the same. Putting it back in here. If I just bring it to a little pause here, you can see, look, we're doing 500 feet per minute. Now, there are adjustments as I'm changing my pitch, of course, but that is around the target rate of descent when you're only doing 130 knots, ground speed 126. So it's about 600 feet per minute we're looking for. Now, because of that reduced rate of descent, ignore the control column, that's just because of the replay. Because of that reduced rate of descent, just delay the flare. Just delay the flare. That's normal speed. Look how much slower we're already going. So I kept it going down, kept it going down. It's very difficult to do. It's really difficult because one of the most common mistakes when you're new to the aircraft is you want to shy away from the runway. The runway's coming up really quickly to you. You're used to flying at 60 knots in your light aircraft and you transition to a multi-engine jet. And it's very tempting. I did the same when I was on my type rating. You get to about here and you start shying away. You start pitching up and your pappies will go to 3 whites, 4 whites. You just got to keep at it. Keep driving it down. Look, keep driving it down. Don't shy away. Don't shy away. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
20. 10.
Check. And then right on the aiming point. Well, a little bit before it, but that's not a bad thing. One more. One more. I'm chatting away loads. I'll have a little look at chat just before I sign out there. Epic. If you are interested, guys, don't forget my crosswind takeoff and landing tutorials. My last tutorials I posted. You can see sort of the behaviour involvement there. Oh, superb. And you can see it hunkering onto the gear as well. Very nice indeed. Right. Let's pop you in this beautiful view here so you can see Gatwick Airport in all its glory during the flare approach and landing. Guys, well, that's it for today. Sorry, it's quite a short stream, just the one sector. Oh, I had another landing calculator come up. I forgot about that one. I need to turn that one off. Yeah, super short stream. Don't forget the ZIBO mod completely free to download. And don't discount X-Men 11. It's still by far, with regards to dynamic aircraft handling, the sim to go for. Do love Microsoft Flight Simulator. I love both sims. There's not one reason to use one and not the other. Use both if you can. The X-Men 11 and this aircraft's free. You can be zipping around for 50, less than the 50 quid or whatever the X-Men 11 costs. That's it. Flying for the next few days, as I mentioned during the stream. Looking forward to the release of the PMDG 737. Be sure to get your hands on that for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's going to be really, really fun streaming that, testing it out. Cannot wait. And if that's all goes to plan, that should be from next week, which has been perfectly timed with my annual leave. That's just completely coincidental, so I'll be sitting down and making some good content for you guys. To everyone that donated, thank you very much for your generosity. To all the members as well, thank you very much for your continued support. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you all very soon. Cheerio. Guys, I completely forgot to mention as well, just before I go check out 320 Sim Pilot. I did conflict with his BAE 146 stream as well. Great content creator. 320 Sim Pilot's his name. Check him out, guys. See ya.
Like butter.
A mega pint